Shortly after being called out for going ghost after 6 months at the time of this comment, a few things came to mind. First of all, damn, you're right. And then the comment below it did give me a starting point to make a video. However, I'm not just going to cover the T10. I'm going to cover a specific class the T10 falls into. That's right, I'm talking about Heaviums. See, Heaviums are heavies that play like mediums, and mediums that play like heavies. So there's some examples that I can provide here. Obviously, we have the most popular of the bunch, including the Super Pershing, the T10, the AMX Lorraine M4, as well as the Round Panzer. But there's so many more. You know, there's the entire French heavy tank line, medium line, and the FCM 50T, and the list goes on. Heavies like the T10 that play like mediums allow for highly flexible gameplay, often bringing strong cannons into play sooner than the full heavies. The T10 does exactly as this says. It has a top speed of 50 kilometers an hour, and it has a fast-firing 122 that it also shares with the STD. the STI and the IS-4. Taking a look at the T10's armor, you can see that the turret still has technically strong armor. However, most of the armor around the hull has been shaved off, as opposed to the STI. It has more armor on its hull and the same cannon as the T10, thus making it slower and more of a heavy than a heavy. Let's put it into reverse here for a second. I'm going to reverse all the way back to June of 2020 during Want Valor. Valor was the time when Wargaming before 6.0 decided to rebalance tier 10s almost on a weekly basis. And some of those changes came out as very good for the game. However, some of them were really questionable and some of them were just outright useless. The French heavy line, the 50B, to be in specific, was the one that drew a lot of ire, because most of what they did is they took the AMX 5100, the AMX 5120, and as well as the AMX 50B, and instead of changing a stat, maybe giving it more armor, what they did is they just simply changed the icon from heavy tanks to medium tanks, and it just identifies as a medium now. So instead of comparing it to different heavies, they compared it to the mediums, which is my next topic in this video. Is the French tanks are the most likely to have a heavium in them. For example, the FCM 50T, my darling, my baby. As you can see here, my baby, FCM 50T, has almost no armor, absolutely minimal, 140 on the front turret and then 135 on the front hull. It is a glass bus with more reverse gears than most heavies. Wait a minute here, I gotta fix that. Right there. Right there, yeah, alright, we're good. Now that we've talked about medium heavies, we need to talk about heavy mediums. Heavy mediums are heavy and also mediums. They do heavy things and have the benefits of mediums, making them very heavy mediums that do heavy work. Do you got that? If taking shots is your game, then you'll either end up blocking shots effectively or end up too drunk to play the game. Of course, we're going to start with the Super Pershing. It feels really odd that I have to introduce the Super Pershing. It's the oldest premium tank in the game. It's made of the scrap out of these kitties, and it's not the fastest machine in the world. It doesn't have the best gun, but it stands as a solid tank to play. It even has preferential matchmaking, never seeing tier 10. The downside of it, being the oldest tank in the game, is that everybody knows how to pen this. You shoot the captain's cupola or you shoot it in the side. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. When the armor works, it works. But when it doesn't, it's because either of ridiculous pen values or the overexposure of your weak points. Furthermore, this tank is not fast. It performs exactly like a heavy. It goes 40 kilometers an hour and it turns like a boat. If you're lucky, you can reach that 40 kilometers an hour. Really, it's all about the downhill angle, or if you have a long enough stretch in front of you that's flat. It's got a good view range, not much to complain about because it's an American tank, but your mileage still may vary. If you got the gold for it, I highly recommend buying the Super Pershing, mainly because it's something that you can talk about, and knowing that it's the first premium tank that was released to this game around, 10 years ago, it's something that you can definitely use more frequently, and it doesn't have a downside with it being preferential matchmaking. Now, there's one more tank I want to talk about before I let you guys go. The one tank that I think is kind of like a meme, considering the fact there's 3 different versions of it, I'm talking about the Raumpanzer. See, the Raumpanzer, or the Dreaddozer, or the Astrian, is a M48 with a dozer blade. It's OSHA approved, of course. It's a regulated piece of equipment that pushes dirt and effectively bounces rounds from angry union workers. Now, theoretically, you could get this tank without the dozer blade, but the dozer blade makes the tank. It's hiding that lower plate, and it's providing an extra layer of protection so you're not getting penned as often as you should. The main things that you lose out on is primarily the speeds, going from 45 kilometers an hour on the original, and then if you add the dozer blade, it goes to 44. You do lose a little bit of turning power, and it's a little bit harder to get up to the speed, but at the same time, you do get that extra spaced armor. I specifically listed this tank as a Heavium mainly because of the medium counterpart that it has, and plus you get to see the difference with or without the armor if you have both in your garage. The condom is very important. It's going to protect you, and it's definitely worth the pickup if you have the opportunity to get it. It's phenomenal, and if you get the Astrian, you get some additional spaced armor on the turret, mainly because of the little statue that you have on the front. And with that, I rest my case. I'm glad I could have had the opportunity to go over this kind of niche little group of tanks, and I want you guys to drop down in the comments and let me know if there's any other tanks you consider would be a Heavium in their ways. So if you can, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any questions, concerns, don't hesitate to reach down in the comments below. Thank you. How do I turn this thing off? Oh, yeah. Bye.